Hey everybody, welcome to the Editor's Hall for July 20th, 2016. I'm Aaron, Editor-in-Chief of Comic Booked, so check out comicbook.com, our website for a ton of comic book related articles, cosplay stuff, pictures from conventions, con coverage, news, all kinds of things, anything you can think of. We do a lot of indie comic coverage recently, so we've got interviews with creators, we've got reviews of new series, just anything you can think of comic book related, we've got it on there. So check that out, comicbooked.com. And for today, this is July 20th, 2016, so it's New Comic Book Day. Happy Wednesday. So I've got my stack of comics. I was going to go through my haul, show off the covers, talk about the stories, and then give you the opportunity to leave me some comments. Let me know what you're reading. Let me know what's got you excited over the coming months. What do you think of the big events, with the fallout from Pleasant Hill in Marvel, and now the reveal about Captain America and the Cosmic Cube and the Red Skull and all that stuff with Kobik and, those sorts of things, as well as the upcoming Dead No More for the Spider-Man event that's going to be starting soon, and Civil War II, of course, which had a huge event last week, or a huge part of the event last week, where a major character who's been around for 50 years was killed. So we don't know the repercussions of that yet. There's going to be some major fallout there, though, for sure. Then in DC, of course, we've got Rebirth, and you got to check out our Rebirth videos. We'll have another one of those up for week 5 or week 6, I think, reviewing all the books from this past week. And then we'll have a new one with all of the great books that I'll be showing you here in a minute for week 7, officially week 7 of DC Comics Rebirth. So what I do is I sort out my books, Vertigo, DC, and then all of our independents, then Marvel, and I divide Marvel up by like Marvel, non-regular Marvel titles, and then regular Marvel titles. So that's it. Away we go. So starting off, Vertigo had 2 books this week. First one is Lucifer, and this is, oh boy, I always get lost here, Lucifer number 8. So this is pretty interesting because this is Lucifer's son, who has descended down to hell to try to take over power from the lady who's been left in charge. It's been a pretty good book. Has stayed pretty decent. This time we got a little bit different artwork. It looks a little different anyway than what we've been used to. So a little cartoony, a little different. Maybe the same artist, but it just looks a little different to me. So pretty cool. I like this book. I'll continue reading this. It's very interesting. I kind of got back into. I've read Lucifer before when it was a Vertigo series, but back in the past, and it was good. And then got away from it, and then the TV show came back on. I was like, oh, this is cool. And then Vertigo relaunched the new book, so I picked it up since the new book, and I really liked it. It's been a very interesting story. You want a crazy alien-ish kind of story? Go read Clean Room. This is such a good book. It's just crazy. The story is awesome. Gail Simone is writing this. We are at issue number 10, and we had some big reveals last issue. We've got some great detailed artwork in here, as you can see. Very detailed, very cool looking. There's one of the aliens getting zapped. So it's really a cool book. Definitely like alien conspiracy theory kind of stuff going on, and it's a neat story. So you should check that one out. Clean Room. Injustice, Gods Among Us, year 5, coming to a close soon. This is issue 14. 6 more issues. This is coming out bi-weekly now. So, it'll be 12 more weeks, and then we should be done, I believe, with this. It was coming out weekly. I don't know. Maybe it's coming out weekly again. It's hard to keep track of sometimes. But and looks like in this one, Flash, last issue, kind of spun off and helped everybody, survive what was going on with Superman. And now he's left. He's defected from the regime. So divided we fall. We'll see what happens with Flash and Superman. A big confrontation there. So it's definitely a great story. Brian Buccellato is writing that, and I really, really like it. Scooby Apocalypse hits issue number 3 as the Scooby and the gang, along with Velma, who Seems to be a evil scientist, evil genius behind the nano cloud that basically has turned humanity into a horde of monsters. Yeah, it's really crazy. This is another one of those. It's, in the long line of reboots that they're doing. Scooby Apocalypse. They're doing Wacky Raceland. They're doing the Flintstones. And Future Quest, which is Johnny Quest, and then all the other Hanna-Barbera characters. So this is another one of those. It's been really good. Really enjoyed this. It's very cool. Good art in it too. If you like, kind of shoot 'em up stuff, and the mystery of Mystery Inc. It's pretty cool. All right, into DC Rebirth. We dive. This week, the issue 3s come out. So we've got Green Lanterns issue 3. You can see Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz there on the cover. Something crazy is going on. Last issue, we kind of dealt with Jessica Cruz's inability to create a construct. So we'll see what happens with that in the new issue. Green Arrow issue 3, as we see Oliver's still alive, although he's been stripped of pretty much everything that makes him Oliver Queen. And as of the end of last issue, only Green Arrow is remaining. So it's pretty cool. If you like the TV show, I think they're definitely angling more towards what happened with the show to an extent. But it's a great story. If you, I would say, if you liked pre-New 52 Green Arrow, you'll really like the current run of Green Arrow. So also hitting issue number 3, Superman, and we have a familiar face for those of us who remember 90s Superman events, Death of Superman and all that. That looks like Eradicator there on the cover, who was a Kryptonian security device from the Fortress of Solitude that was released upon Superman's death to go out and retrieve his body, bring it back to the Fortress of Solitude, and then basically maintain the illusion that he was Superman, taking Superman's place, although he had a very much a stronger stance towards punishment. If you would say, he would catch a criminal and then zap him with his laser eyes and kill him. So there was definitely, we knew this wasn't the real Superman back in the time, but now he's coming for Jonathan, maybe. We don't know for sure. So good story, really great stuff as Superman and Lois from the pre-New 52 universe have a son, Jonathan, kind of going along with the story from Man of Steel. I'm sorry, from Superman Returns. I apologize. From Superman Returns. So it's pretty interesting. It's been a good series so far. And another number 3, everybody will be excited about, Batman number 3 out this week. In this one, we've got really, it looks like we're kind of maybe going back to an origin-ish type view in the beginning, but it's really Batman saving somebody. We're really just still dealing with Gotham and Gotham Girl in here. Now, the neat thing, I guess it's sort of neat, but it sort of takes up like a huge bunch of space again inside the books, is this cool insert where it's Batman and Superman fighting Doomsday, and they're like, I'll handle this. And Superman's like, oh, no, not again. Here, have a Snickers. And they hand Doomsday a Snickers. And says, you get really cranky when you're hungry. And then Wonder Woman says, thank you. So I was like, okay, anyway. But this looks like a pretty good Batman book this week. So definitely worth checking out. Skip the 5-page ad in the middle of the book. But otherwise pretty good. Aquaman hits issue 3 as we see the fallout from the destruction last month, or last issue, from Manta's bomb that blew up his embassy. Basically, most of the people survived, but there's going to be some fallout. So we'll see what that's going to be. It's been a good story, and Dan Abnett's writing it, which I really enjoy. Justice League number 1. We had the Rebirth book, and now this is the very first issue of the new Justice League series. You definitely want to pick that up. It's a good team book. The first issue, the Rebirth issue, was good, so we'll see how the first issue plays out. I'm going to give all of the Rebirth books 5 issues, and then decide kind of from there what to do and what to keep and what to throw. So just to let you know, I'll be reviewing those, all of the Rebirth books up until that time. 2 Rebirth books this week, actual Rebirth number ones, and that is Hellblazer Rebirth, which has a cool looking cover. And, you know, my concern is I really enjoyed the 21 or 22 issue run of Constantine that came up earlier in the New 52. I really did not enjoy Hellblazer when they launched that after the cancellation of the first Constantine. So I'm just kind of hoping that this is going to be as good as that first series. So we'll soon find out kind of where things are with this, and maybe it's a whole new story, and I'll like it just as much. We'll see. I'll let you know on our Rebirth show. So definitely tune in for Rebirth week 7, as we review all of these books later this week. Also, Batgirl and the Birds of Prey, Rebirth number 1. This is Huntress, Batgirl. I believe Batwoman is going to be in here, but it's definitely Mockingbird. Black Canary. Mockingbird's Marvel. Black Canary, Huntress, and Batgirl, and then Batwoman may or may not show up in here depending on what goes on with the story. So another Rebirth book to check out. And like I said, we'll be reviewing all of those books in week 7, which will be the video later this week. This week we are reviewing Nightwing Rebirth number 1, Green Lantern, Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps Rebirth number 1, New Superman, The Flash number 2, Batman Detective Comics 936, Action Comics 959, and Wonder Woman number 2. So those will be on the video. I believe we're doing that video tonight, so that'll be up on the site either tonight or tomorrow. Full review of all of those books from last week's stash. So definitely tune in for more information. If you want to know what's going on in the Rebirth universe for DC, definitely check out our videos. You can go back and watch all the weeks so far, catch up on all the books, and see what your favorites or previous favorites, heroes and villains are all doing, and see if it's worth picking up. So, all right, starting into the indie books, Action Lab has a new one this week, Oblivion, which looked really cool. I wanted to check it out. This one is written by Tim Seeley, who I have liked before. He's had some pretty good stuff. And this is based on the movie Oblivion, which was a pretty cool movie, kind of a western-y space movie. So we'll have to see how the comic plays out. I'm interested, definitely interested. And Aftershock has issue 6 of Second Sight. I believe this wraps up our first story arc with David Hines' story called Line of Sight. In this one, let's see if this wraps us for the story here, or if it gets us end of Act 1. Nope, it says end, Finn. So this is the end of Second Sight. So if you have been following this, you would definitely want to pick this up. It's been pretty good, very interesting, kind of a psychedelic trip. This guy has psychic abilities, but they only activate when he's eating shrooms, and it's good, but it's kind of weird. So, big event this week from Archie Comics as Betty and Veronica relaunch for the first time in a while. This goes along with the Archie relaunch. So you got Betty and Veronica, and I got this cool cover. I really like this variant, as well as that variant. I just thought that was a great one. Really cool artwork in that one. And then, of course, the regular cover by Adam Hughes. Definitely like that. So Adam Hughes is also doing the art, at least for the first few issues. Jose Villarrubia is doing the coloring. So it's pretty cool. If you take a look and you get some cool art in there, neat layouts. I love the way the leaves kind of pass from frame to frame. So good book. We'll have to see how this changes, because we know we've already been introduced to both Betty and Veronica in the regular Archie series. So we'll have to see what happens in this book to kind of counterpoint what's going on in that book, and if they are going to cross over at all. And then, of course, we got Jughead running too. So, all right. Boom has one book out this week, Sombra, which looks very interesting. Justin Jordan's new one with Raul Trevino and Juan Usechi. And it has a cool skull on the back. I don't know what this is about, but I just like Justin Jordan stuff, so I thought I'd pick up the first issue, support him a little bit, and probably read a pretty cool book. So since I'm about ready to drop Strayer, I'm just not sure I'm liking that story right now. So Oni Press has a cool book that I've been reading for a while. Joshua Hale Fialkov's Exodus: The Life After. It was previously called Exodus, or The Life After before, and then they changed it to Exodus: The Life After for the second story arc, or second volume. So this is issue 6 of this one, as Jude has kind of come into his own and knows his mission is basically to fix things in heaven and hell and make things work the way they're supposed to. So, very interesting story. We'll see what happens. Titan Comics has Heroes Godsend, issue number 5 this week, and I believe if this is not the final issue, it is next to the last issue. Okay, this is the last issue for volume 1. So it wraps up the story of Farah, the girl who can turn invisible from the world of Heroes Reborn. So this is the end of volume 1. They do have a cool advertisement on the back for Torchwood. Any of you fans of Torchwood out there, or Doctor Who? We've got John Barrowman and the rest of the cast showing up in here. Torchwood was a great show. Torchwood Miracle Day was a good mini series to kind of wrap things up, but it still left us wanting more of the story. So Titan is bringing Torchwood to comics for us. So pretty cool stuff. All right, from Valiant, Archer and Armstrong. That's the Adventures of Archer and Armstrong, number 5, out this week, and we have Faith there as Archer goes on his first date with Faith. We can see he's really excited to do that. Probably very nervous. Rafer Roberts writing this one. Great book so far. Really enjoying this, and we'll see how that story plays out. All right. Image. We have 4 books from Image this week. First is issue 5 of Accend, which is a really cool book. Shane Davis does a great job with this. It's about a video game that kind of comes to life in the real world. And in the last issue, we found out that Dog, who was kind of the guide in the game, is really, Dog spelled backwards, God. So he is a god or whatever god, and he's basically set things up to destroy the world. So we'll see what happens in this issue, what kind of world destruction we have. And according to Shane Davis, at the end of this book, he really wanted to do more right now, but they're going to take a break. He says he's going to take a little sabbatical from this and then come back to it at a later time. But he definitely wants this. He's seen this as a 2-part story, so definitely wants to come back to this. But it could be a while in the future. So for now, this is the end of Extend, and then we can expect to see more in the future. So issue 21 of Manifest Destiny is out this week, and this has been a cool story as they're hunting Sasquatch, and we find out that a lot of Sasquatch have been murdered in this area or killed. The monsters were massacred. And so they're trying to find out what's going on there. They're kind of like Cyclops creatures, so it's a very interesting story, as it's the true story of Lewis and Clark. Sorry, Lewis and Clark, as they travel across the country to map out all the supernatural happenings in the world and make the country safe for the Americans to expand. Wolf issue number 9 is out this week. And Wolf continues to be very interesting as each issue is written by a different writer. Alice Cott set this up to kind of spotlight different writers. So in this book, let me see who we've got writing this time. Alice Cott is writing. So then at the end, I believe there's like a little spotlight story. Yeah, so at the end, Minhal Baig does the work on this, and so you have a cool little couple pages, I think like 4 pages or 5 pages of story there. So it's called Sunset Cleaners. Minhal Baig graduated from Yale University in 2012 with a BA in Fine Arts. 2015, she directed her feature-length directorial debut, One Night, a romantic comedy about two couples reconnecting over the course of one night. Most recently, she wrote and directed Hala, a short film about a Muslim American teenager reconciling sexual desire with family expectations, which she plans to turn into a feature-length film. So very cool. And then Richard Lyons is the artist, and he's an Australian-born, Los Angeles-based concept and comic artist working in film, TV, and games. Some of his previous projects include Uncharted 4 and Darksiders 2. Richard is currently employed as a concept artist at Naughty Dog. Very cool. So Alice Cott gives them an opportunity to spotlight their talents in the back of each of these books. So that's very cool. Really crappy thing. I got a really nice crease right on the front cover of the front corner of my book this month. So that's sucky because that'll be the one that'll be worth $300 and I have a big crease in the corner of it, right? Usually the way it goes. All right, the last one from Image this week, and actually Shadowline 1 as well, The Hunt. Very cool looking book. Looks like supernaturally some kind of something, but it looks very, very cool. It's got some great colors, great art. Colin Lorimer is the creator, writer, and illustrator, and then Joanna LaFuente is the colorist. You can see just got some really cool. This was actually from the preview of the story. A really cool creature there, sucking the soul out of this little girl's mom. Can't get better than that. Awesome story. We'll find out what that's all about. All right, moving on to Marvel. Star Wars issue number 23 came out. Oh, is that Star Wars? That says Darth Vader. That is Darth Vader. Darth Vader number 23 out this week. So definitely looks like a cool story. I think we only have a couple more issues before the finale to this one. So this story is coming to a close. Not the story of Darth Vader coming to a close necessarily, but this series. And I had to pick up the cool variant cover with BT1 as the action figure on the variant. So definitely enjoying this. I really am liking all the stuff that Marvel's putting out. The Poe Dameron series that was running, just finished its first story arc, was definitely cool. And I'm looking forward to what they're doing with that next. So, all right. That's it for everything non-Marvel. So now we'll look at the Marvel stuff, see what we got here. Some good stuff from Marvel this week. Some endings, some middles, and some sort of beginnings. From Jim Zub, the Thunderbolts. And this time they meet up with the Inhumans in this issue. So it should be pretty cool. We'll see what happens there. It's kind of a beginning to this story, as the Thunderbolts are made up of a lot of the folks from the original Thunderbolts. You got Bucky, or Winter Soldier, as well as Kobik joining them, the good little girl who is also a cosmic cube. So thanks for some very interesting stories with her power level. All right, Guardians of Infinity, issue number 8. This is another Dan Abnett story. Really liking this because this is bringing the Guardians 3000, the current Guardians of the Galaxy, and the past Guardians from like Guardians 1000 together to battle some kind of big guy who has harnessed the brain power of all these different people and locked it into his armor so that he can take over all of space and time and make order out of the chaos that he sees. Sounds perfectly great, right? Pretty cool story. The Ultimates, number 9, Civil War II crossover book here. We got to find out what's happening. I don't know who this is supposed to be on the cover. If this is supposed to be some kind of weird, Eternal or whatever they're called, the Sentinel things, or I don't know, some kind of weird alien creature. So we'll see if it even has anything to do with the book, but it does have a cool cover. So, all right. Issue number 9 of All New Inhumans, as we see something going on with Gorgon there, and some tentacle things all shoved up every little orifice. So that looks painful. Uncanny X-Men number 10. Cullen Bunn writing this, continuing the Apocalypse Wars story. In this one, we've got the horde of angels coming to basically free Psylocke from Mystique, Mystique, and a bunch of other people. So it's interesting. I'm still trying to figure out the whole Apocalypse Wars thing and what's that really supposed to be, because it just seems like there's something obviously Angel is the product of Apocalypse, and so Apocalypse's experiment, since he was one of the Horsemen. So something's happening with him, and he's kind of like a clean slate that Psylocke can control in a way. It's weird. But the other books seem to nothing ties together, which is really frustrating with that story. So, and I got a little partner here coming to join me. She's going to read comics with me. Issue number 10 of Contest of Champions brings up our finale this week. That is the last issue. It's been a great story so far. Really have liked this. Wanted to see kind of how things wrap up here with the delivery of some big names last issue to deal with trying to stop the Maestro in his bid to take over all of the universe. And finally, all new Wolverine number 10, another Civil War II crossover. Looks like a confrontation between Old Man Logan and X-23, so we'll have to see what happens there. Very cool stuff this week. Lots of different comics to read. Let me know in your comments, or in the comments, what you're reading, and I really appreciate that. I will respond to those comments. I definitely like to have conversations back and forth with folks who watch the videos. If you have any questions for me, let me know. Otherwise, go read more comics, and be sure to check out our video for DC Rebirth Week 6 coming up tonight, and Week 7 later this week. Thanks a lot.